I do love my TACA moms, and I got to meet you recently for the first time face to face. And this is one of the things that I love about TACA is that we were both at the ARI conference in Garden Grove, California, and I belong to a TACA group that I get the Daily Digest, and I read it like religion. It's my daily newspaper that I read and hear all these different things. And for years, I have seen this person on the site saying the most brilliant things, you know, that I'll read somebody's question and I might have like one component of the answer to it, but I don't know the rest of it. And then I would read the response, and at the bottom it would say Holly, that the answer came from Holly. And I'd go, wow, this woman is amazing. What doesn't she know? She's absolutely brilliant. And there were times that I would ask a question and you would answer things. So here I was at this conference, and there was a TACA booth there and a TACA table, and they introduced me to you, and I was like, oh my goodness, you are the Holly.
We're old friends.
We finally
met.
Yes, and this is one of the things that I want to bring up about TACA is that kind of thing can exist for people. Yes. That you can get knowledge and information from somebody that you've never met, and really benefit from that and have that work in your life.
And it can change everything for you and your child.
Absolutely.
The connections we can make with our technology is phenomenal.
It is, and people should subscribe to TACA groups, if nothing else, to read what you write. You are an amazing wealth of knowledge.
Well, thank you. I come by it honestly because we've been through so much in the past 7.5 years, and I'm so very happy to share it because, you know, like you were saying with Moira, no need to reinvent the wheel. I'm fortunate that I was able to get information from other parents when we started, and continue to this day, you know, to find out about what the latest research, especially in biomedical treatments. And, you know, my son was just recently diagnosed with subclinical seizures, which, you know, there's a whole lot to learn about all of these things. It never stops. But what we learn and share together, it's synergistic. It's not just little pieces of information, but a whole world of resources that we share as parents.
So let's talk a little bit about how you came to be a TACA parent. How did autism come to live at your house, and how did you hear about TACA?
How did autism come to live at my house? That's a loaded question.
Isn't it?
Well, my son Quinn was diagnosed when he was 2. And at that point, I think we'll see the video in a little bit. He was nonverbal. He was self-stimulatory all day, every day, lost in his own world. And through research on the internet, we connected with other parents, and you know, we're far enough away from the TACA meetings, and the closest one was on a Friday night. I had 2 kids in diapers, so it took me 2 years to get to my first TACA meeting, by which point I was already well down the journey, and Quinn had just made tremendous gains and was healing in incredible ways. But I remember that first TACA meeting when I walked in the room, and I was surrounded by parents who were like me, who, you know, who get it. Whatever it is you may be talking about, whether it's smearing poop or the diet or trying to fight for the right class placement. And just to be among people who had that shared experience was such an incredibly powerful feeling. Without even, you know, going into what that particular meeting was about or the resources that TACA has to offer. And I felt like I was home. I was like, oh, finally I meet these people in the flesh rather than just on the computer. And I've been really involved with TACA ever since. And it's a really wonderful organization because it's families with autism helping families with autism.
Exactly.
And you know, we also got a lot of information from Generation Rescue and love that organization as well. And one of the things I especially love about TACA in particular is that it is that we want to help you wherever you are on your path. And whether you want to look into the biomedical issues and trying to get the right kind of help for your child's medical needs, or if you're wanting to start the diet, or if you're just trying to figure out what to do after your first day with the diagnosis, or school, or placement, or, you know, regional center, early intervention. Wherever you are, we want to help because we've been there, and that's what TACA is all about.
Yeah, and full support. We were talking earlier about the fact that there's no judgment, that you get to come in wherever you are, and you're greeted with nothing but help and support, and nobody's going to try to jam anything down your throat. Any belief or anything. You can come in wherever you are. And I don't know about you, but one of the things that's hard for me about the autism community is that it seems like it's so segmented sometimes.
Yeah.
That we've had people on the show before. We talk a lot about ABA here because there's a great reason to talk about ABA.
Absolutely.
But it is not the only thing in the world. And a lot of times people will say, well, you know, they'll sit here and say, well, you know, we do ABA and feel like they can't talk about the fact that they also participate in a diet, or they also participated in equine therapy, or they also did something else. And there is a feeling in the community of, well, I can't talk about this because everybody is segmented. But the truth is that most of us are looking at, how do I help my child?
Right, and it's such a dynamic community. There are so many possible things to explore. Each child is different, and each child is different from year to year. You know, what my child is needing now is so dramatically different from 2 years ago or 5 years ago. And so I love learning about different things that we haven't tried. I love hearing other people's experiences and asking questions about it, because it may not be right for me, but maybe it would be something that would help one of my mentees. You know, we do have the TACA mentors. I'm a mentor, and you know, every child is different, and just sharing information is so incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. And what I love about TACA, you can come in wherever you are and ask questions, and you get a wealth of information on a wealth of different things.
And I like to say, you know, I don't know everything about autism, but I can probably help connect you with someone who might have the answer to the question you're going to ask.
Exactly.
And that right there is an incredible asset. So I'm really happy. You know, I honestly don't know everything there is to know. I know everything there is to know about my experience, but
you are.
But if you ask me something that we haven't personally gone through in my family, I have an idea of where to start looking and what Google words to search under.
Absolutely,
you know?
Which is a great thing. Talk to us a little bit about what the mentor, and you talked about the mentees, and what is it, and if somebody is watching and they have never heard of this before and they're saying, okay, I get it, I need to be a part of this group to get this information, what does a mentor do? Who should apply for a mentor?
Well, mentors, generally speaking, are parents like us who've been on the journey for more than a couple of years. We really love to have well-rounded mentors who have some experience with biomedical or diet, school district issues, dealing with special needs law, and all that entails. And Moira's actually the person you should ask more about this. She's the person who coordinates the mentors. But really, if you're listening and you're a parent with that kind of experience and you're saying, well, yeah, I'd love to be able to help out with families who've just gotten the diagnosis, you can apply to be a mentor online. And one of the great things is we do provide training for mentors. We have, about once a month, we have training calls. There's an initial training call for all new mentors where they kind of learn the ropes of what is expected and what they need to do. And if you don't know the answer to a question, that's okay. You know, you don't have to know everything. But like I said, we're sort of the springboard, and we can help the families find what they need.
How to refer them.
Exactly. And so if you're a parent with that kind of experience and you're interested in being a mentor, you can apply online to become a mentor, and that'll be reviewed by the committee. And then if you're a parent who, even if you've just gotten the diagnosis or you've had the diagnosis for 10 years and you're saying, I don't know, maybe this diet's worth trying, or we finally found the funds to go to a specialist and we want to work with a doctor, but I don't know where to begin. You know, you could have a 30-year-old and you're starting this new path in the journey. You can apply for a mentor to support you through whatever it is you're dealing with. Absolutely. And in the mentor application, which is available on the website, you can specify what your needs are. And Moira really tries to connect people who are in the same region, particularly when it comes to dealing with school district issues and placement, that sort of thing. We don't have enough mentors, especially in Southern California. There's such a great need in this area because this is where we're based. So sometimes she'll connect families. If you're looking to start the diet, maybe you might be connected with someone in another area. But she really does try to match geographically as well.
And is there a cost for somebody if you get a mentor? Absolutely free.
No cost.
So so often I think when parents start on this journey, they think, well, I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, and why isn't there someone to help me? And I really feel like you guys answer all that.
That's really
it's a place to go.
huge part of the TACA mission is to support families.
Yeah.
And I'll say most mentor communication and mentee communication happens through email.
Yeah.
There's some mentors prefer phone calls, and that's perfectly fine. A good friend of mine actually goes to people's houses and helps out with looking at food labels, if if that's what you need. But it doesn't have to be that extensive, and most of our communication does happen with email. And what's great about that is that we can put in that email the link to the web page.
Right.
Autism on a Budget.
Right.
So all you have to do is click and read. You don't even have to go search the website for it.
It's great.
So,
saving time and money and
efficiency
energy. Yeah.
is everything.
It's really great, and that's available to all of you.
Yes.
So I want to mention again the website to go to start everything, www.tacanow.org.
And there is a search box. So it is a
Yes.
huge website, incredible wealth of information. You could just go to that search box and say, mentor.
There you go.
And it should help you find it.
Now, you mentioned before your son Quinn, and that recently you took part in a study.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what the study was and why you decided to join it and what happened as a result of that study.
Well, I heard about this study when Quinn was maybe 6.5, and I found out about it through the Autism Research Institute. I believe it was in their newsletter. It's a study through the National Institutes of Health, and they are looking at children like Quinn who have recovered or nearly recovered from autism. So then there's a big question. Has he recovered? Gosh, she's darn close. I don't know. What are the qualifications? And it's a very rigorous study. They required 3 different professional diagnoses for him to be included in the study. What they wanted to do was establish that the children in this study, absolutely positively, without any doubt, had autism. They fully met the criteria.
Right.
And that when they participated in the second part, the research part, that they do not now qualify for the diagnosis. What happened in between is what they're looking at, and I'm really very hopeful that this study is going to be the beginning of that, looking at children who have gotten better and asking the important question of how and why, and how can we take that information and help other families.
Right. And just to back up for just a second, because there are a lot of people who are watching that the word recovery seems like some mythical thing far, far away that they've heard about, but a lot of people have a visceral reaction and think, okay, that's not the truth, that's some snake oil, or, we hear a lot of people say, well, those kids didn't really have it, or, every excuse under the book, but it's not a myth.
It is not.
You live with this in your home.
Well, and I have to say, accepting his recovery is in many ways more difficult than accepting the initial diagnosis because we're not done.
Right.
We have a whole lot of health issues that we still are. He's very delicate, and I feel, if the right circumstances came along, we took him off the diet, and he has epilepsy. If we took him off the medication, and he would slip back into the spectrum very quickly. Okay. So it's very much a managed recovery, but recovery from autism. And I actually went to see Dr. Bach speak about this at the ARI conference in Las Vegas, and that's when I finally, the light bulb went off in my brain. I'm like, oh, this is real. And he went through definitions, like dictionary definitions. What does recovery mean? It means, getting away from a previous state, or returning to a state of health, basically. And as he went through all of these definitions, and then he said, what does recovery mean for autism? And he said that means that the child no longer meets the criteria for autism. Right. And as he was saying all these things, I thought, okay, I have to embrace this now. I can't say he is recovering, because by all the definitions here, he has recovered. And participating in the study at the NIH, they did a full psychological evaluation, the developmental history, and days of interviews. They did the ADOS, they did all the psych evaluations with him. And he's in the average range for all of those. He does not qualify for the autism diagnosis anymore. That doesn't mean he doesn't have needs, and that he's not, socially awkward, maybe less mature than his peers.
But he no longer qualifies for autism. And when that happens, until we have a different word that is more amenable to everybody, the word is recovery.
Yeah.
And I just ask for everybody to take a deep breath and make room for that.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing, and you worked really hard for it, and he worked really hard for it.
Every day is a miracle, you know, and Moira talked about the small steps along the way, and we went through all of those small steps, from the nonverbal child to just getting him to laugh, to hoping that he would notice we were in the same room. I mean, we really were there in the trenches early on, and a million hours of therapy and all sorts of medical treatments and interventions. Probably everything you've ever heard of, and some you haven't. we've done a lot.
And he's an amazing kid. I got to meet him at ARI. Beautiful, beautiful. Same age as my son. We really do have to get together for a play date now that I'm back in town. I want to pause for a minute and show just a short video of Quinn. And I love that you took video of different behaviors, because I didn't do so good with that. But people are never going to be able to look back.
The reason we did is because one of my very first mentors early on, a TACA mom, when I talked to her, she said, get your video camera out. Yeah. Because he's going to get better, and you won't have the documentation, and people are going to say to you, he never had it. Yeah. Get your video camera out. So I say that to all parents, you know, if you've just got the diagnosis, as hard as it is to watch your child stim, get it on video. Yeah. Because that is the evidence that he was where he was. Right. And then you meet him today, and it's a whole different world.
A whole different thing. So we want you to take a look at this video that you and your husband did together that shows where Quinn was, and shows briefly where he
was when he was 5.
Right.
And now he's 9.
Which is not where he is now, but it's still pretty amazing. Yes. So take a look, and we'll be back more with Holly Riley after this.
How you doing, Quinn? Hey, Quinn. Quinn.
We didn't realize it at first. We thought Quinn was just a normal kid who wasn't speaking yet and liked to spin his toys. He'd spin balls, or the wheels on his truck, after he'd turned it upside down, or the salad spinner, or his sippy cup. He'd spin pot lids, watch the sit and spin, roll toys that weren't meant to be rolled, and spin things that weren't meant to be toys. Even when we took him to the playground, he'd rather upend his stroller and spin its wheels than play with the other kids. Quinn was diagnosed with autism just after his 2nd birthday. At that time, he had 0 words and no receptive language. He didn't even respond to his name.
Hey, Quinn. Hi. Hey, Quinn. Hey, buddy. Hey, Quinn. Hey, guy. Hi. Hi. What's going on, guy?
Like him, we felt backed into a corner. We were told there was no cure for autism. But other families gave us hope. And 3 years later...
Hi, my name is Quinn. My autism is